Hey there, my amazing royal watchers. I hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. Welcome to another episode of Untold Royal Secrets. It's your favorite royal critic back here again. And today, what I'm about to share with you is so shocking, so disgraceful, so utterly treacherous that I can barely contain my fury. We're talking about the most despicable betrayal in modern royal history. Prince Harry, Meghan's brainwashed puppet, is reportedly planning to team up with the disgraced Prince Andrew to write another revenge memoir. And when King Charles found out about this unholy alliance, sources say he exploded in absolute fury. Can you blame him? These two traitors are literally plotting to destroy the monarchy from within. So now, according to explosive reports from Radar Online, and you know I always verify my sources before bringing you these bombshells, Prince Andrew is desperately trying to hook up with Prince Harry for advice on producing what they are calling a tell-all revenge royal memoir, revenge memoir. Not a memoir to share his truth or set the record straight, but a calculated attack designed to burn down the very institution that gave him everything. The audacity, the sheer unmitigated gall of these two disgraced princes thinking they can team up to launch another coordinated assault on our beloved monarchy is absolutely breathtaking. Royal sources are telling Radar Online that Prince Andrew believes he and Harry share a mutual sense of betrayal by the royal family. Betrayal? Can you believe this nonsense? These two entitled brats think they've been betrayed because they weren't given everything they wanted on a silver platter. Andrew is apparently seeing Harry as a potential ally in his delusional quest for what he laughably calls redemption. This man thinks that writing another attack book on the monarchy is going to somehow redeem him in the eyes of the British public who have rightfully turned their backs on him. The insider is saying Andrew is feeling a big bond between him and Harry right now, adding that in his view they are both spares who have been terribly mistreated by their own brothers. Terribly mistreated? Are you kidding me? These two men have been given every privilege, every advantage, every opportunity that life could possibly offer. Harry was beloved by the British public for decades, had meaningful work with veterans in the Invictus Games, and threw it all away for a gold-digging actress who saw him as nothing more than a meal ticket. Andrew lived a life of luxury and privilege for decades, despite bringing scandal after scandal to the family name. And here's what makes this collaboration even more sickening. Harry already wrote about Prince Andrew in his poison pen memoir, Spare, calling his situation a shameful scandal and throwing him completely under the bus. He wrote, quote, he was embroiled in a shameful scandal, accused of the sexual assault of a young woman, and no one had so much as suggested that he lose his security. Harry contrasted that with his own security arrangements, whining like a spoiled child because he has to apply for protection 28 days before visiting the UK instead of getting it automatically. But despite Harry literally stabbing him in the back in his memoir, Prince Andrew is still desperate enough to align himself with the very person who publicly humiliated him. The insider says Andrew is deluded and really thinks he's misunderstood and being misrepresented and deserves to be brought back as a working royal. He's apparently furious with his brother Charles for freezing him out of the monarchy and sees this memoir as a way back into public life, a cash grab, and most importantly for him, a way to get back at his brother Charles, a way to get back at King Charles. This is what we're dealing with, folks. Two bitter, resentful men who want to hurt the king, who want to damage Prince William, who want to tear down the very institution that gave their lives meaning and purpose. They are not interested in redemption or reconciliation. They want revenge against a family that has done nothing but love them, support them, and give them opportunities most people can only dream of. And Prince Andrew, this delusional fool, apparently thinks that teaming up with Harry is going to be his ticket back to respectability. Has he not been paying attention to what happened with Harry's memoir? It was an absolute disaster. It backfired massively. Harry got torn apart by critics and the public alike. and it destroyed what little remained of his relationship with the royal family. If Andrew thinks that associating himself with the toxic Sussex brand is going to help his reputation, he's living in a complete fantasy world. The source says Andrew has floated the idea of collaborating on charitable projects or even visiting Harry and Meghan in Montecito, California. But here's where it gets really interesting. Apparently, Meghan is disgusted by Prince Andrew and thinks he'll tarnish their brand and will want nothing to do with him. And as the source accurately points out, what she says goes when it comes to Harry. Even Meghan, the woman who has no moral compass whatsoever, thinks Andrew is too toxic to associate with. That should tell you everything you need to know about how far this man has fallen. But Andrew is apparently undeterred by Meghan's rejection. The insider says Andrew would love to have Harry on speed dial for publishers and advice about getting as much cash and interview opportunities as possible on the back of a book. He's also convinced he can actually convince Harry he's a good man who has been unfairly treated by the royals. Unfairly treated. This man who brought shame and scandal to the royal family, who cost them millions in legal fees, who had to be stripped of his royal duties because of his associations with Jeffrey Epstein, thinks he's been unfairly treated. Let me tell you something. Being associated with Harry and Meghan at this point is absolutely toxic. Their approval ratings are in the toilet. Their commercial ventures are failing spectacularly. Hollywood is running away from them as fast as possible. And even progressive causes are finding better champions than the whining Montecito duo. If Prince Andrew thinks that hitching his wagon to that sinking ship is going to save his reputation, he's more deluded than anyone could have imagined. And can you imagine what this news is doing to King Charles? This man has dedicated his entire life to preparing for the throne, has finally become king after decades of patient service, and has been working tirelessly to modernize and strengthen the monarchy while preserving its dignity and traditions. He's already had to make the heartbreaking decision to strip Andrew of his royal duties following the Epstein scandal. He's already had to watch his younger son, Harry, betray the family repeatedly through interviews, documentaries, and that devastating memoir. He's already witnessed Meghan systematically poison Harry's relationship with his family and heritage. And now, just when you'd think these two couldn't sink any lower, they are reportedly plotting to join forces in another coordinated attack on everything Charles holds dear. The fury that the king must be feeling is absolutely justified. This is a man who has shown nothing but loyalty and dedication to the crown and the British people, who has championed important causes his entire life, who has worked to heal divisions and build bridges. His reward is to have two members of his own family scheming to damage the very institution he's sworn to protect. But here's what really makes my blood boil about this entire situation: the absolute entitlement of these two men. They both seem to think that being born into the royal family automatically entitles them to a lifetime of privilege and adoration, regardless of their behavior or choices. They can't accept that being royal comes with responsibilities as well as privileges. That respect must be earned through service and dedication, not demanded as a birthright. Harry had everything handed to him on a silver platter: public adoration, meaningful work, a platform to make a real difference in the world. He was genuinely beloved by the British people, had successful initiatives like the Invictus Games, and could have spent his life doing important work for veterans and mental health awareness. Instead, he threw it all away for a woman who clearly never understood or respected what it meant to be royal, who saw the monarchy as nothing more than a stepping stone to Hollywood fame and fortune and Andrew. This man lived a life of luxury and privilege for decades, while contributing virtually nothing of value to the royal family or the British people. He brought scandal after scandal to the family name, associated with criminals and questionable characters, and showed a complete lack of judgment in his personal and professional relationships. When the Epstein scandal finally caught up with him, when he was forced to step back from royal duties to protect the monarchy's reputation, he should have accepted responsibility and disappeared quietly into private life. Instead, both of these men apparently think they are victims. They think they've been wronged by a family that has given them everything. They want to write revenge memoirs to get back at people who have done nothing but love them and support them through decades of poor choices and bad behavior. And let's talk about the timing of this potential collaboration, because it couldn't be more cruel or selfish. King Charles is dealing with his own health challenges while trying to establish his vision for the monarchy. Catherine, our beloved Princess of Wales, is recovering from cancer treatment and gradually returning to her royal duties with typical grace and dignity. The family has been through an incredibly difficult period, and they are finally starting to show the public what this new era of the monarchy can achieve. Into this delicate period of recovery and renewal, these two bitter, resentful former royals want to launch another attack designed to cause maximum damage and disruption. It's not just selfish, it's actively cruel. They are willing to hurt people who are already dealing with serious challenges, to cause pain and stress to family members who have shown them nothing but love and loyalty over the years. The contrast between the working royals and these two disgraced princes couldn't be more stark. On one side, you have Charles, William, and Catherine, along with hardworking royals like Princess Anne, who understand that being royal is about service, sacrifice, and putting the institution above personal desires. They show up, they do the work, they support causes and communities without seeking credit or attention. They maintain their dignity even in the face of personal challenges and family drama. On the other side, you have Harry and Andrew, two men who seem to think that being royal is about getting attention, making money, and getting revenge on anyone who doesn't give them exactly what they want. They've both forgotten that being born into the royal family is a privilege, not a right. And that privilege comes with responsibilities that you can't just abandon when they become inconvenient. William and Catherine have been absolutely magnificent throughout this entire ordeal. Despite being attacked and undermined by the Sussex camp, despite having to deal with the constant drama and distraction of family members who seem determined to cause chaos, they've maintained their focus on service and duty. Catherine's handling of her cancer diagnosis and treatment has been a masterclass in dignity and grace. She hasn't sought sympathy or attention, hasn't complained about her situation, hasn't used her illness to attack anyone or gain advantage. Compare that to how Harry and Meghan have handled every minor inconvenience or criticism in their lives. They can't stub their toe without claiming it's evidence of some vast conspiracy against them. They turn every setback into a victim narrative, every criticism into proof of persecution, every consequence of their own actions into someone else's fault. And now Andrew wants to learn from Harry's success in monetizing family grievances. He thinks that following Harry's playbook of public attacks and revenge fantasies is going to somehow restore his reputation and get him back into the royal fold. The man is living in a complete fantasy world. Let me tell you what's really going to happen if these two go through with this collaboration. First, it will be the final nail in both of their coffins. As far as public opinion is concerned, the British people have already turned against Harry in overwhelming numbers after his memoir revealed just how willing he was to betray private family conversations and profit from causing pain to people who loved him. Adding Andrew to the mix will only make the toxicity worse. Second, it will completely destroy any remaining chance either of them had of eventual reconciliation with the royal family. Charles might have been willing to forgive and move forward if they had shown genuine remorse and made private attempts at reconciliation, but another public attack, especially one involving Andrew's scandals and grievances, will be unforgivable. Third, it will confirm what many people already suspect about both of them, that they are willing to align themselves with anyone, no matter how disgraced, if it serves their purposes. Harry has already shown his willingness to throw his family under the bus for money and attention. Teaming up with Andrew will prove that there's literally no low he won't sink to. And what about the impact on the wider royal family? Princess Anne, who has served with dedication and distinction her entire life, doesn't deserve to have her family's reputation dragged through the mud by two selfish relatives who can't accept the consequences of their own actions. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, who have stepped up to take on additional responsibilities while asking for nothing in return, don't deserve to have their important work overshadowed by more Sussex drama. George, Charlotte, and Louis don't deserve to grow up reading headlines about their uncle and great-uncle attacking their family and trying to tear down the institution they'll someday serve. These children should be able to look up to their extended family as examples of service and duty, not as cautionary tales about what happens when privilege is abused and responsibilities are abandoned. The international implications of this potential collaboration are also staggering. The British monarchy isn't just a national institution. It's a symbol of stability and continuity for the entire Commonwealth, for nations around the world that look to Britain for leadership and example. When members of the royal family attack the institution from within, it doesn't just damage Britain's reputation, it undermines the monarchy's ability to serve its broader role in international relations and diplomacy. King Charles has spent his entire life building relationships with world leaders, using the monarchy's soft power to advance British interests and values around the globe. Every attack from within the family weakens those relationships and makes his job harder. It's not just about family drama. It's about national interests and international standing. The economic implications are equally serious. The monarchy contributes billions to the British economy through tourism, trade relationships, and cultural influence. When scandals and internal conflicts dominate the headlines, it affects everything from visitor numbers to the UK ability to attract international investment and partnerships. Harry and Andrew's potential collaboration isn't just an attack on their family. It's an attack on the economic interests of the entire country. But here's what gives me hope. Despite all this chaos and betrayal, the British people can see through this kind of manipulation and self-serving behavior. They've already turned against Harry and Meghan in overwhelming numbers, recognizing that their victim narratives don't match the reality of their privileged lives and endless opportunities. They've shown that they value authentic service over celebrity drama, genuine commitment over performative activism. The response to Harry's memoir was overwhelmingly negative once people actually read it and saw how willing he was to betray private family moments for profit. The public understands loyalty. They understand duty, and they understand the difference between genuine grievances and self-serving revenge fantasies. If Andrew and Harry do proceed with this collaboration, I believe the public response will be even more brutal than what we saw with Spare. And let's not forget that this potential memoir faces the same fundamental problem that all of Harry's projects have faced. Nobody really cares about his grievances anymore. People are tired of his complaints, tired of his victim narratives, tired of his constant attacks on a family that clearly loves him despite everything he's done. Adding Andrew's scandals and bitterness to the mix isn't going to make the package more appealing. It's going to make it even more toxic and unpalatable. The royal family will survive this latest attack, just as they've survived every other crisis and scandal throughout their thousand-year history. The monarchy is bigger than any individual, stronger than any attack, and more important than the petty grievances of two bitter, resentful men who have forgotten their purpose and their place. Charles will continue to serve as king with dignity and dedication, focusing on the important work of modernizing the monarchy while preserving its essential character and values. William and Catherine will continue to show the world what the future of the monarchy looks like. young, dynamic, connected to the people, but still grounded in the traditions and values that have made the institution successful for so many centuries. The working royals will carry on with their duties, supporting causes and communities that actually matter, making real differences in people's lives without seeking credit or attention. They'll prove once again that true royalty is about service, not celebrity, about duty, not drama, about putting others before yourself, not using your position for personal gain. And eventually, these two disgraced princes will fade into the obscurity they've earned through their own choices and actions. They'll become footnotes in royal history, cautionary tales about what happens when privilege is abused and duty is abandoned. The monarchy will endure as it always has, while they become increasingly irrelevant reminders of what not to do when you're blessed with the opportunity to serve something greater than yourself. But until that day comes, we need to call out their hypocrisy, expose their self-serving motivations, and support the real royals who understand what service and duty truly mean. We need to make sure that their attempts to damage the monarchy are met with fierce resistance from those of us who understand the institution's true value and importance. King Charles has every right to be furious about this potential collaboration, and I hope he takes whatever steps are necessary to protect the monarchy from these internal attacks. Whether that means completely cutting off contact, stripping titles, or taking legal action to prevent the publication of lies and distortions, he needs to make it clear that there are consequences for betraying the crown. The time for patience and forgiveness has passed. These two men have shown repeatedly that they are not interested in reconciliation or redemption. They want revenge and money, and they are willing to destroy everything in their path to get it. They need to face the full consequences of their choices, not just for their own sake, but to send a message to future generations about the importance of loyalty, duty, and respect for the institution that has served Britain so faithfully for so many centuries. So let them write their revenge memoir if that's what they want to do. Let them team up to launch another attack on the family that raised them and the institution that gave them everything. Let them prove once and for all that they've learned nothing from their previous failures and scandals, that they are incapable of growth, remorse, or genuine reflection on their own behavior. Because every word they write, every interview they give, every attack they make will only serve to highlight their own irrelevance and the continued importance of the monarchy they are trying to damage. They'll end up like all enemies of the crown throughout history, forgotten, bitter, increasingly desperate for attention as the world moves on without them. The monarchy will endure because it represents something eternal and important. The idea that some things are bigger than individual desires, that service matters more than celebrity, that duty and loyalty and sacrifice are virtues worth preserving in a world that seems increasingly focused on selfishness and instant gratification. Carrie and Andrew represent everything that's wrong with modern celebrity culture. The belief that attention equals importance, that victim narratives equal virtue, that personal grievances justify destroying institutions and relationships that have stood the test of time. They are symptoms of a broader cultural sickness that mistakes noise for significance, complaints for wisdom, and destruction for progress. But the working royals represent the antidote to that sickness. The understanding that true fulfillment comes from serving others, that real strength is shown through quiet dignity rather than public drama, that lasting impact is achieved through consistent dedication rather than spectacular gestures designed to grab headlines. So, while King Charles may be exploding with fury behind palace walls, and rightfully so, I'm confident that he and the institution he leads will emerge from this latest crisis stronger and more respected than ever. The contrast between those who serve and those who only serve themselves has never been clearer, and the British people's choice has never been more obvious. What do you think, my loyal viewers? Can you believe the absolute audacity of these two traitors plotting another attack on our monarchy? How should King Charles respond to this latest betrayal? And what would you say to Harry and Andrew if you had the chance to speak to them directly? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if you're as outraged as I am by this potential collaboration. And don't forget to subscribe for more fearless royal truth-telling that you won't find anywhere else. Until next time, keep supporting our wonderful working royals. They need our loyalty now more than ever as they face these unprecedented attacks from the very people who should be protecting and supporting them. Peace out.